Good morning, and welcome to our Spotlight session, where we will look at how you leverage data, AI, and cloud to drive business transformation at CME Group. Joining me today are my guests, Sunil Cutinho, the CIO of CME Group, and Manoj, Bohra, Head of Financial Services and Insurance from Google Cloud. Welcome, Sunil. Welcome, Manoj.
Hello.
So, I have a great lineup of speakers today. Sunil is the CIO at the CME Group, and prior to his current role, he was the president of clearing. And Manoj has been a partner in crime with Sunil in driving the business transformation at CME Group, and his financial skills and acumen have provided the right fillip to the transformation. Thank you, gentlemen. Please make yourselves comfortable. So today we are going to talk about the holy trinity of digital transformation: data, cloud, and I can't say anymore the new kid on the block, AI, because AI has been happening for the last 12 months and how. But we will definitely look at the different angles of a transformation. It is something that gets a little messy, sometimes hard, but eventually it does get gorgeous. And so we're going to explore that. And if I may ask you, Sunil, where do you think you are? At the hard, the messy, or the gorgeous part?
Well, you know, we are close to the gorgeous side.
Ah, okay, all right. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Okay. And Manoj, from your perspective, you know, as a partner in crime, along with ourselves, how did you think the journey was? More hard or messy, or, you know?
So Sunil is saying it's gorgeous because it was messy.
Okay.
But I must say, I mean, any projects, and we know this by facts, anyone working on any technology projects, 70–80% of them have large failures as part of the process. The question is to find the failure first, as quickly as you can, and fail fast so that you can succeed. So, you know, completely agree with what Sunil is saying. Where we are right now, it has worked out an amazing setup at this point with the work that TCS is doing along with Google Cloud.
Okay, excellent. So, Sunil, I'm going to start by asking you this question. What is the CME Group's vision and objective behind this transformation? And specifically, we would like to hear from you the business and the technology imperatives for the program.
Before I start, maybe I should explain what CME does. So CME is where the world comes to manage risk. You know, we have clients in 150 plus countries. We have about 11 global hubs and 12 partner exchanges. That just is to give you an idea of how clients use our services. They are hedging risk in commodities and financial assets. It's important for you to have this context because what we are trying to do is achieve 3 goals. First, we want to make it easy for a growing client base to access our services as seamlessly as possible. And this is one of the reasons we picked Google, because Google has the world's largest distribution. It's highly secure, and it's extremely resilient. So that's the objective. We want to reduce those access barriers as low as possible. The second part is essentially give our clients the ability to get insights much faster than they do today. So if you think about the world today, and you think of clients actually using data, more than 80% of the effort is actually collecting data, cleaning, analyzing it. And then 20% is associated with getting those insights from data. So what we are trying to do is reverse that equation. So we want clients to spend less than 20% accessing and cleaning data, but more than 80% actually deriving insights. The third is to reduce the cost of innovation. It's no secret, but for many organizations, launching a new product or a new idea is a painful endeavor. So it takes multiple millions, multiple product committees, and there's a lot of analysis. We're trying to change that. So our goal is to reduce the cost to hundreds of thousands. So the idea is to try and work with clients and design new services. So reduce the cost of doing that so that we can pivot faster, we can learn. So the eventual goal is to help our clients in a more responsive way and to innovate faster.
Great. So for these business outcomes, and as you looked ahead, to drive the transformation, what were some of the key strategic pillars around which you built your transformation program?
So one big change we had to embark on is client-centric development. So putting the customer first. Moving from a project-based model to a product-based model. So that was very important. The second is to, create application programming interfaces, APIs. It may seem very simple because we've had APIs for a very long time. But one of the things that we've noticed is we've made most of our services tightly coupled. So it's very hard for us to disaggregate and give our clients the ability to use a portion of our services outside of the context within which it operates. A good example would be, getting a contract dictionary, figuring out all the definitions of a contract rather than downloading every contract definition, which could be gigabytes long. You could actually make selective queries and manipulate that information to access our markets much faster. The second would be, using our risk analytics. So rather than downloading risk parameter files, which are in multiple gigabytes, and then uploading it in your own calculation engine, and then running the calculation, we want to provide calculation as a service in a much more seamless and easy to consume way. So that's the second pillar. The third is about data. I already spoke about that. It's easy to say what I've said, but the harder part is actually consolidating the warehouses. Many of you are aware of this in organizations as you grow. We are a 175-year-old organization. So over the decades, you build up different warehouses within different teams, and it's hard to actually create one single golden source of truth, and we've managed to achieve that. So that was the third pillar. Essentially start with a single golden source of truth, curate that information, build a catalog, and make it easily discoverable so that you can build a curated analytics plane for our clients to use directly. So those are the three pillars that we're working on.
Wonderful, great. As we look at transformation play in the last couple of years, and we did see cloud coming center stage, especially post-COVID. And so in terms of how the transformations were playing out, we had this party of three. So we had yourself as the client, and then we had Google, and we had TCS as the GSI. So it became a party of three driving the transformation. So Manoj, what I'd like to hear from you next is what have been the elements of this partnership between Google and TCS in supporting this transformation journey?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I must start by saying that as this partnership was invoked almost more than 2 years ago now, we understood very clearly CME has been traditionally innovating, and they are known for their risk products and how quickly they were able to transform their technology stack and build things like market engine. But we also know based on what Sunil is talking about, is the key objective at this point is to be able to expand the access, democratize the market, make sure that the platform that are being transformed and migrated to GCP or Google Cloud are not only secure, they are compliant, they are regulated, and all of those are critical requirements from being successful. So, and with the heightened awareness from the regulation point of view, talk about CFTC, OCC, FINRA, and you name it, right? Sunil and his team is going through those regulatory bodies to make sure that they are fully compliant. It was not just about the tech, right? It was about being able to create a structure that is compliant, secure, regulated, and then help ensure that we create an organization model that can really accelerate the journey that CME is looking at. An example I want to state, and Sunil touched on it as well, we have a unique relationship with CME when it comes to, for example, innovation. We have a joint pod, we have Googlers who are part of that team. Obviously, CME is part of that team. And we spend enormous amount of time with things like how we can create products that can create new revenue for Google, for CME. I mean, that's a very different mindset than thinking about how can we just migrate this application into cloud. So the kind of work that we are doing together to be able to develop new products and services, introduce tools to empower market participants, that is CME's customer, and make sure that we are doing that at a rapid pace versus the traditional thing that Sunil talked about.
Wonderful. So I'm going to come back to you, Sunil, and I want to double click a little bit more into the transformation pillars that you spoke about. And app modernization in particular is a very key element or dimension, of the transformation, because lift and shift only gives you that much. Could you speak a little bit more about your API first approach?
Certainly. Most efforts to modernize your platform, would involve actually analyzing your system architecture. And one of the things that many organizations find is tight coupling. So tight coupling can slow you down. So as I mentioned before, we are trying to create customer-centric teams. So the way we did that is create product-centric teams. So create products, identify clients associated with these products, and organize our teams around them. And one of the challenges you will face in that model is that there are a lot of shared services, referential information that is used by multiple products. A good example would be contract information. A good example would be information on currencies, collateral, etc., given our business. And one of the things we noticed was this tight coupling would actually slow multiple teams down and reduce their velocity. So to solve for that, we had to come up very quickly with the idea of an API that would provide each one of these products the ability to self-service the information that they're seeking. The idea is to unlock the velocity for these products to actually deliver services much faster. So we set about doing that. TCS was of great help. Our goal was to design a flexible, easily adaptable API. The second was to scale it. The third is to make sure that the APIs that we're designing are not only serving our internal consumers, but also our external consumers, rather than having two different copies having the same copy. Serving this API to an external client base is not so simple. We've always been doing that, but we did not pay a lot of attention to metering. We wanted to raise the security level, and give this standard security framework for all our APIs. So the idea of an API gateway with Google's help, accelerated that effort. And, we wanted to generate, one of the goals is to generate about 28 APIs in a very, very short amount of time. And thanks to TCS, our partner, we were able to do that. The value from that is that now, we can launch products much faster because all we have to do is change the source database with this additional data elements, and then it is available, serviced through an API for multiple products to use. Rather than having to focus on integration with the underlying database, they are actually using a very seamless, backwards compatible API. So I would say that it's paid immense dividends. It's allowed us our teams to actually progress with coding to stubs rather than waiting for the back-end data wiring. So I would say that this is a key, initiative that I would encourage organizations to pursue as they're migrating, because sometimes refactoring is stuff we defer for post-migration. But we have to take a calculated effort. In some areas, you have to decouple the complexity. You have to make it simpler. And that refactoring effort is well worth embarking on before you pursue migration. So this is one of those examples. And it has paid immense dividends in terms of velocity for our other teams.
Yeah, I found that very interesting and a very creative approach in the way CME Group pursued the transformation. And I remember the early conversation that I had had with you in Chicago when we had met, and you were outlining your vision of how you would see the transformation play out, and maintaining velocity and managing technical debt. These are the twin drivers which you are looking to balance. So I think it played out very beautifully.
Yep.
So that's wonderful, and that's something that I really wanted to share with the audience. The other thing that I'm going to talk about now is that app modernization is one big theme, and then is data modernization. And given how critical data is to your business model, I would love to hear how you approached the data and analytics lever from a transformation perspective.
One, we had to change our mindset a little bit because, we often consider data as the output of our services. So we were an exchange focused on markets. We were a clearinghouse focused on managing risk. Data was considered the output of those two pursuits. What we had to change 2 years ago was to elevate data as an important ingredient for our clients as well as us, because it's an input to our participants designing a strategy, backtesting a strategy, and applying it. It is an important input for our risk managers. Being in the clearinghouse, I realized that with our quants. It's an important ingredient to actually test, portfolios, to figure out, to simulate different scenarios in which you figure out a portfolio's performance in terms of profits and losses. So given its importance, elevating that was key. So that involved organizationally creating a team focused on making data easily accessible, focused on consolidating all the different data and analytics platform, focused on cleaning and curating this data. It's not simply sufficient to put it in one place, but it is important to make sure that it's accurate. It is kept accurate because there are things that change. So sometimes, contract definitions change. When contract definitions change, the history going back in time has to be adapted to those changes, especially when you're doing scenario analysis. So those are services that we could provide for our clients, and they don't have to invest that time and that effort. So bringing that together was important. So we call it curation. We try to, ingestion, processing, and curation. So essentially, data must be presented in a way that is easily consumable. This is the reduction of that 80% effort to 20%. Then it's providing that as a service. Rather than requiring clients to download it in a flat file, giving clients the ability to integrate their own analytic tools or their projects directly to the information, as though it's a local database that is always ensured that it is correct, it's accurate, and it is kept accurate over time. So once you solve for those two problems, then you unlock the potential to add more features on top of it, especially certain functions. As a part of our risk management, we build scenarios from historical data, making those scenarios available. We call that derived data. Immediately when you make it available, our clients can actually do risk analysis directly. So we have saved them the time of the analysis, we have saved them the time of curation, we have saved them the time of data collection. So that's in essence what we are trying to accomplish, and we have accomplished to a great extent for our internal consumers. Now it's about making it available to the external consumers with high levels of privacy and security.
Right.
The security comes in through the platform. The privacy is something that every institution has to build based on the data and the information therein. So that's the focus of our effort currently.
Wonderful, wonderful. And hopefully we will have some time towards the end for me to take some questions from the audience as well, because what Sunil is sharing is very interesting, and there is a lot to leverage from the standpoint of looking at modernization. So now, Manoj, I'll come to you, and I'll talk a little bit about our partnership, TCS and Google Cloud, which has really grown over the last few years. And particularly if I take CME Group as an example, I think we started a little slow, but then we warmed up. And we became really thick as thieves, if I may say so, as partners. And you and your team played a very critical role in that. So first and foremost, I want to acknowledge it. Now, as Sunil said, we are moving from the hard and the messy to the gorgeous part. So if you can highlight, some of the gorgeous aspects, of our partnership together, that will be really nice.
So thank you, Nidhi. First of all, let's start by saying that, what is critical for Google Cloud and what is critical to me in my own role. Success of customer is the key criteria. When we are talking back within Google Cloud, within our leadership team, and the ethos of the company, the critical point is that how can we enable CME be successful with their journey? And hence comes the part of the partnership that with TCS we have here, because we wanted to make sure that as we are talking about partnership, we are talking about someone who has deep financial services experience, right? I'll be surprised if TCS is not operating in any of the financial services companies today with the expertise that you have. Talking about breadth of services that capabilities that TCS can provide. I have, and then throughout my career, I've engaged with TCS with different use cases. Whether we are talking about a COBOL conversion or talking about Gen AI, the beautiful thing with TCS is that they can scale in both the areas to almost infinite level, right? So that's another thing as well. And the third and maybe the most important thing from CME point of view is to be able to deal with the complex trading system scenarios that we are dealing with CME, right? I mean, what we are talking about at CME is extraordinarily complex markets that needs to be dealt with the care and precision. And that's exactly what TCS is undertaking here. In essence, right, what we are doing here is the complementary relationship between the Google Cloud and TCS, where there's a lot of collaboration that is happening in the back room to ensure that we can enable CME through the journey that CME is undertaking.
Yeah, and Sunil, I hope that, as they say, 1 + 1 should be 3. I hope that's what our partnership is delivering for you. And now we'll make a little bit of a shift and talk about the hottest topic on the planet, which is AI. And a little earlier in the year, TCS did a global AI study. And we spoke to executives on a worldwide basis. What I'm going to share with you are some of the key highlights which are relevant to our conversation today. But I will also encourage all of you to use the code provided here, and then I'll also provide the code towards the end of the session to download this study and look at the details. So the interesting thing that came out in the study was that what are some of the key objectives that are driving AI investments? Because this is clearly the year where 2023 was the year of use cases, and 2024 is becoming the year of business case. So, what are executives looking at, as they drive their decision making? So they're looking at speed, how to reduce the time to market with new products, new services, new capabilities, and how can Gen AI and AI help in that? The second one, and this was one which was a little interesting, they're looking to see how Gen AI can help in replacing legacy. So that was creative, I would say, reducing tech debt, because what do you hear mostly? Okay, we are using Gen AI for customer services, for sales and marketing, and developer productivity, about which we will talk very soon. But replacing legacy, because now you can replace COBOL code with the coding assistants and code generators. So that's really something that came out. And the third one, and this is not in this order, but enabling innovation. How to use Gen AI to disrupt your operating model or refine it and ensure your competitiveness. Now, a little more dive into this data. Well, the optimism continues. So as much as last year was about the optimism and excitement to figure out the art of the possible, people continue to be optimistic about AI and its relevance to their business. About a little more than 2/3, which is 44%, are looking at AI for innovation and revenue growth, productivity improvements. So very, very business-focused use of AI. And again, about 41% people feel that more than 50% of their employees will be using Gen AI within the next 3 years. It's really a shout out for adoption, with a little bit of enterprise hardiness.
Yeah.
And again, I'm reminded of a conversation between ourselves where you had said that it is very important to make sure that the AI technology is really enterprise ready. You have to look at the security and the legal aspects as you begin to roll it out at enterprise grade. So with this, looking at where the interest areas have been, which is around developer productivity, customer services, sales, and marketing, I am going to talk a little more about developer productivity today. And hopefully that is going to be of interest to all of you. So, Manoj, we would be interested in hearing, how is Gemini Code Assist going to change the world of the developer? And what is Google's stance on it?
So that's an amazing question. First of all, by saying you asked the question, how is it going to change? It is not going to, it is doing today. As you can see on the screen, the entire life cycle of developer had to go through a lot of pain. And I grew up myself as a developer. I used to code a lot in PL SQL, not anymore, but that was the journey I took. And I would start by saying that there is no part of this equation that is being presented where code assist cannot assist the developer. So let's start with some of the facts of today. For those of you, checking in code yourself, you know about GitHub and the value of GitHub, right? All the code sits there. And I was just reading through a stat that 41% of all code that sits within GitHub is generated by AI. Now, how immense is that number? Just by the fact that AI just came for 8-10 months, like Code Assist as a utility, or for that matter, ChatGPT is very, very new. And GitHub was founded in 2008, right? So it took just 8-10 months for the code to be 41% generated by AI. That is indicative of the big, big shift that is happening in the market, right? And I say market as the developers, the workstation. The key is not just about how well you code, it's all about how efficiently and productively you can code. So when you are a developer, you're writing your code, you will start by saying begin statement and the loop and the end statement and the exit and so on and so forth. You don't need to type those 6 or 10 lines of code when the code assist can provide you right away. In fact, in many of the examples, and there's plenty of examples on the internet that you all can see, the point is this: you can get the shell code, in fact, even a working piece of code available directly using Code Assist. Now, the key is this, right? We still recommend, right, eyeballing the code before it is checked into production for deployment. It is critical because it's business impacting. But think about the productivity that it provides by being able to provide you the shell code, the work, the code that you can start with. Then comes the point, as a developer, there's something that I never wanted to do that I was required to do, is to document my code. Who wants to do that? No one wants to do that. In fact, most developers hate writing pages and pages of documentation about it. But it's critical for transition of that from one developer to the other. The beautiful thing about Code Assist today is that you can have that done in minutes, like truly minutes. And in many cases, you don't even need to eyeball it because it's that beautifully written. Then comes the part of being able to test the code, being able to create it, use cases. All of that can be provided by a Code Assist from the get-go as well. And even more interesting part, where actually I personally have spent sleepless nights over weekend and number of days and weeks, in fact, in some cases, is to figure out where the bug is in the code. It's so hard to figure out where is bug, especially if you have 10, 20,000 lines of code to figure that out. With now more than 1 million tokens available within Gemini, that's easier said, at this point, to be able to just upload the code and try and figure out where the bug is. So in short, I'll say that there's no part of this equation that is being presented here where Code Assist cannot help, and in many cases just be driving the force. The only caveat at the end is that we must understand that the field of generative AI is in early stage. I call it early stage. In 8 months, we have moved so fast. Even our last Google Next was in August, so it's not even a year since the last year, and we have moved so fast. And we are going to continue to see the momentum that we are seeing at this point.
So, Sunil, if we can get some bites from you, sound bites, what's your perspective to using, a code assistant tool in your CME landscape?
We've been fortunate. Our partnership with Google couldn't have come at a better time. And as a result of that, we've had access to Gemini's Code Assist very early in the game. It used to be Duet at one point in time, and we've been using it since then. We try it for different personas in an agile development framework. as Manoj indicated. And just to give you a business context around what we're trying to achieve, we would like to make sure that most of our developers' effort and attention is focused on delivering features for our clients that eventually turns into revenue for a business. That is success. So today, as Manoj was pointing out, that's not practical because in a traditional development framework, there's a lot of effort in building a framework, a lot of effort in building generic libraries, one to access different transports. If you're using multicast, it's a different transport. TCP, it's a different transport. You have to build reliability. So there are a lot of these generic routines that eventually help the business. They provide a lot of features, but at the end of the day, they consume a lot of time. And over time, we've spent time building standardized frameworks. We build a framework for everybody to reuse. That's how we have solved that problem. What generative AI does right now from a coding standpoint is adds to that. You can use a combination of your own frameworks, standards, and train a model so that it can generate code. So the developer's attention is focused on actually building features for the business rather than building the wrapper code that is necessary to get your first version out. That's our goal. So think of it as cognitive overload. You're trying to reduce it so that their focus is simply getting features out. We've tested this. We've been using it for something brand new, greenfield development, so completely new, and then brownfield, so essentially taking something that is probably an older library and trying to convert it. From a greenfield perspective, it's proving its value. It's paying dividends. So our goal is to scale that using Google's cloud workstation and making it available to a broader and broader set of engineers. When it comes to code conversion, we're trying to test that as well. You can take the same language profile, say, Angular JavaScript to React JavaScript. In those circumstances, it's not 100%, but even if it is 50%, 40%, it's of great value because you've saved that much more time. Because in the past, what we would do is we would try to rewrite the entire thing. We would never pursue something like this because it's mostly cost and hard to prove the business value of it other than reducing technical debt. So that's the promise. So from a developer productivity, which is a broad term, I see great promise and great potential for this technology.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we are getting close to wrapping up our conversation, and hopefully I'll have time for a question or two. Manoj, before I wrap up, if there was one word or a sentence that you would like to use, to describe our partnership, we have this beautiful slide here, but if there is something that really comes out, as the essence, we would love to hear from that.
So you said one word, I'll say a few words.
Yes,
the partnership that we have is landmark collaboration. I do think it's industry changing. CME is in the forefront of the exchange marketplace. If you think about it, it's the leading exchange, has one of the largest impact on capital markets. And this relationship and the work that we are doing together is going to truly transform the industry and create an impact that will be remembered for a long time to come.
Wonderful. It's been really lovely speaking with both of you, and we got some wonderful insights. The first thing is we learned that, be bold in your vision for the transformation. The second thing is when you look at the strategic pillars that support your transformation, especially if you're looking at cloud, data, and AI, app and data modernization are very relevant levers, and using factory model-like approaches or an API-first approach really could serve big dividends for you. And The third thing is you do need a village to make the transformation happen, and that's where partners come in. And it has been quite a beautiful journey for us with you, Sunil, along with Google Cloud and TCS. So thank you so much.